Back in Chicago, Lily was still lying in the hospital bed unconscious. Rachel sat with Dorothy, who was clearly very depressed. She was about to ask Rachel to borrow some money when several people suddenly came into the room, taking up protective positions near the windows and the door. Rachel demanded to know who the people were, but no one answered her. A moment later, Alan and Susan Williams walked into the room and kindly greeted Rachel. Rachel opened her mouth. She wanted to say something to ease the awkwardness in front of her, but she didn't know what to say. Alan and Susan Williams were even more direct. They ignored Dorothy and treated her as if she did not exist. They just walked to the side of the bed and looked down at Lily. "Did you tell the hospital to take good care of her?" Susan Williams sighed and turned around to ask Rachel softly. "Don't worry, Susan. She's in good hands here. They have arranged for the best doctors to study Lily's condition at all times. I believe there will be results very soon," Rachel replied respectfully. "I just feel awful for her. She looks so innocent lying there. I hope she can wake up as soon as possible," Susan said, clearly in distress at the sight of Lily in the bed. After all, the woman lying in front of her was her daughter-in-law. "You two aren't welcome here in my daughter's presence. Anyway, the first thing she's going to do when she wakes up is divorce Kevin." Dorothy sneered as she crossed her arms in front of her chest. She continued, "Unless you're here to push forward the divorce, you can turn around and leave now." The atmosphere in the hospital room instantly dropped. "Dorothy, please." Rachel could not help but remind her again. "Rachel, you don't have to stop me. They may not know what Kevin did. I was wrong about him in the past. I shouldn't have expected him to be different from other men. His eyes began to wander as soon as he had a few bucks. Even if Lily was none the wiser, he wasn't fooling me. And now, since my daughter has been here in the hospital, he has only come to see her once. My poor Lily. She must divorce him as soon as she wakes up. Kevin will be obligated to transfer half of his assets over to her." The more Dorothy spoke, the more energetic she became. Even the bodyguard standing off to the side could not bear to listen to her anymore as they began to roll their eyes and exchange glances. Susan's face also became darker and darker. Alan's chest was violently rising and falling. What did you say?" Alan said as he raised his trembling right hand and pointed at Dorothy. "You must know that what your son did was beyond shameful," Dorothy sniffed and said. "Don't think that you're a rich person just because you're wearing bright and beautiful clothes now." Dorothy had been thinking about this for a long time, so she didn't want Kevin to come and visit Lily. "Impossible. Kevin would definitely never do that kind of thing," Alan refuted with all of his might. Seeing her husband's temper rising, Susan quickly held his arm and gently patted his back. "He would never let you guys know. If you don't believe me, you can go ahead and ask Rachel," Dorothy shouted as she coldly glared at the two of them. Dorothy stepped forward and added, "Don't come and see my Lily ever again. We don't want anything to do with you or your son." Finally, Alan couldn't take it anymore. He closed his eyes and suddenly fell backward. "Alan!" Susan screamed in panic. Her eyes turned red. Rachel was shocked. She quickly squatted down to check on Alan. "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and call the doctor!" She shouted at the bodyguards who were standing there with stunned expressions on their faces. Only then did two people go out and call for a doctor. If he's going to die from the shame of his son, it's better if I don't see it," Dorothy said as she sat down in a chair and turned around. At the same time, on the island, Kevin did not know that something had happened to his father. In front of him stood 4 or 5 young experts from the Vanguard. Apart from the 4 people who were fighting Calvin Morris and the others, as well as the 5 trapped with Troy Evans, they should be the last group of people left on the island. "Please forgive us for our ignorance," one of them said to Kevin. "We would be honored if you came to Apex Island. My family can act as your host," said another. A large group of warriors from the younger generation of the Vanguard shamelessly surrounded Kevin, trying to please him. Kevin didn't quite know what to say or do when he saw this. This scene made Dalton and the others not know whether to laugh or cry. The corners of Sebastian Young's and the others' mouths curled up ever so slightly. After how the fight with Jordan and Justin Black had been going, they thought they were engaged in a fierce battle with a slim chance of survival. They didn't expect that the situation would change so quickly. It seemed as though a group of warriors from the Vanguard were about to lift Kevin onto their shoulders. Please, don't say that. My mentor wanted me to keep a low profile during this battle. If he finds out that my identity has been exposed, he will not be pleased, Kevin said with a smile. Yes, of course, you're right. You can rest assured that we will definitely not expose your identity, one of them said. Another added, Anyway, this is a battle. When we go back, we will say that your power base is very high and that we weren't your match at all. This group of people spoke one after another as if anyone who could get within a few feet of Kevin would be honored to do so. They were just short of going home and building a statue for him. In the end, it was still the Night King's reputation that was all too terrifying to them. It made these proud sons of the Pinnacle completely forget where they had come from. Besides, there wasn't any deep hatred between them. Wouldn't it be better to survive? As time passed by, Troy Evans and the others finally broke through the trap that Kevin had set. They heard a burst of laughter in the forest and rushed over. When they saw Kevin, Troy Evans, who was covered in mud from head to toe, suddenly became furious. He held a sword in his hand and rushed over. While he was trapped, he had come to understand everything. It was definitely Kevin, this good-for-nothing kid, who was up to something. Otherwise, how could lightning surround them as soon as he left? How could there be such a coincidence anywhere in this world?
Kevin, what the hell did you do? How dare you plot against us? I will kill you today,
Troy roared with his eyes wide open. Behind him was Dustin, who added, You kept us trapped by lightning like idiots for so long. I'm gonna cut you into a million pieces. Seeing the two of them disrespect Kevin, Jordan, Justin, and the others were so taken aback that they almost tripped over themselves to step forward and come to Kevin's defense. Dalton, Steele, and the others had serious expressions on their faces. The situation they were worried about was finally going to happen. However, Jordan and Justin had already intercepted Troy and Dustin.
Troy, calm down. Put down your sword right now,
Jordan urged him. You can't be so impulsive. You have to calm down, Justin added.
Take a deep breath, Troy.
You don't want to become a pariah known to all, do you? Jordan asked. A group of people surrounded the two of them, seemingly terrified that they might touch a single hair on Kevin's head.
Jordan, Justin, what's wrong with you two? That kid dares to treat me like a monkey in a cage. Get out of my way and don't try to stop me. If I don't kill him today, I won't even be able to go to sleep at night,
Troy shouted as he struggled to get past the barricade of outstretched arms with all his strength. They all knew each other well enough, and many of them had friendly relationships with each other, so the fact that they were standing in Troy's way was shocking to him.
Troy, calm down. You can't be disrespectful to the man who holds in his possession the Night Dagger,
Jordan pleaded with him.
As long as you don't act recklessly, you will be safe, all right? He added.
This group of people was truly afraid. Ever since the legendary figure from back then killed all those people on Apex Island, the story had been told and retold countless times.
What the hell is this? What did you say?
Troy said as he stared blankly at Jordan. Dustin took a step back with a stunned expression on his face and said,
Did I hear that correctly? What did you say that kid has? The Night Dagger?
The other three who were with them were dumbfounded. Kevin, who had been fawning over Troy Evans like a dog, had suddenly turned into some kind of god. How could this be?